late, the whole light is shining through the window by my door. I was worried about tomorrow, but I'm not worried anymore. 'Cause yesterday ain't tomorrow was today. Today turned out just fine. I'm gonna lay my head down and get some sleep tonight. It's in your hands. It's in your hands. So why am I worried, Lord? I cannot change your plans, Lord. I know my tomorrows are really in your hands. It's early, the sun is shining through the window by my door. I was worried about today, but I'm not worried anymore. Yesterday, tomorrow was today. Today I'll be alright. I'm gonna face this world right now, knowing you're by my side. It's in your hands. It's in your hands. So why am I worried, Lord? I cannot change your plans, for I know my tomorrows are in your hands. Yes, it's in your hands. I know my tomorrows are in your hands. So I will not worry, Lord. I don't want to change your plans, Lord. I know my tomorrows are in your hands. Lord, I know my tomorrows are in your hands. Amen. Amen. That is a little uncomfortable. Many of you have seen me minister before, and you know that I just keep it real and I keep it straight. So that's what I'm going to do. A lot of times, missionaries will come back, and they'll come back with their little pictures of all the kids and smiling, and you know, all the beautiful stories of all the wonderful things that happened. I'm going to give you both sides, because everything that happened there was not wonderful. Everything I saw was not wonderful. There was a lot of hurt, and there was a lot of struggle, and there was a lot of pain. But one of the things actually happened to me. And I want to share that with you tonight, if that's all right. Is that all right? Yeah. So my team and I had gone into the slums to minister. We were also picking up, I had paid to have my team have authentic African shirts made for them as a thank you to them for serving with me and for trusting me. So we were picking those shirts up. Things were taking a little longer than we expected, so the sun had set, which you don't want to be in the slums after the sun sets. It's extremely dangerous, especially as an American. So I was rushing everybody. Like, guys, we've got to leave. It's not safe at this point. I started to turn around and walk back to the van to tell my driver, I need you to pull the van up as close to my team as possible, so that we're able to jump in if anything happens. At that point, I was surrounded by 6 men, and I was somehow separated from my team. It was a very chaotic scene, so it's hard to really give details of what happened in that moment because it was chaotic. There was lots of flashes going off as they were taking pictures of what they call a Mzungu, which means white girl. So they were screaming, "It's a Mzungu, a Mzungu." Over there, a Mzungu is considered a luxury. So if you can capture a Mzungu, that's a big deal. So at that point, they brought a boda over, which is like a motorcycle that they ride in Uganda, and they had blocked me with the boda. So everywhere that I turned, I could not get away. And these men there are children in the room, but they began to grab me in places that you don't want to be grabbed. And they began to assault me and pull my clothes. And I remember in that moment being terrified, because in Uganda, women are not seen as equals. So if the Ugandan people had seen that happening to me, they would have done nothing about it. Because I'm a woman, I'm a property. And so I'm not considered to have rights to be protected. So in that moment, I was terrified because I had no way out, and my team was not with me. We got separated. So thank God my team began to hear a commotion happening. And one of the men from my team broke through the circle of men that were around me, grabbed me, and threw me in the van real quick, and we got out of there. So I'm thankful for God's protection. But at the same time, because of my past sexual abuse, it triggered something in me. It triggered a breakdown in me, if that makes any sense. And I sat in the van and I just began to weep. And I began to immediately feel angry. And I began to feel hate. And I began to think, I flew all the way across the world. I have put my family in debt to be here to pour into you. And this is what you're going to do. This is how you treat the person who came to help your people. The person who came to pour into your country. This is what you do. You assault me. You attack me. You abuse me. And I remember in that moment, I was ready to leave. I was like, I'm done. I'm going home. Forget this vision. Forget this mission. I'm done. I'm just being honest, y'all. I would love to tell you that I was like, praise Jesus anyway, but that's not where I was in that moment. I was like, no, Jesus, I ain't doing this anymore. No. And he very quickly convicted me and reminded me that when he stretched his arms out on the cross, he did it just as much for the victim as he did the perpetrator. And the problem with the church and Christians nowadays is that we easily know how to love the victim. It's very easy to hold the victim. It's very easy to sympathize with the victim. But when you have a rapist come kneel at your altar, it's not as easy to love on them. When you have a child molester come to your altar, it's not as easy to love on them. And God very quickly reminded me, when I called you to Uganda, I didn't just call you to the ones who are suffering. I called you to the ones that are causing the suffering as well. And that was a harsh lesson for me. So when I went back to my room that night, I got on the floor and I sobbed before God. And you would have thought that I would have been asking God to heal me from the hurt and help me not be angry, but that's not what I did. I laid before God and I began to repent. I began to repent that my first reaction and response to that hurt wasn't to love them the way that he loves me when I'm a perpetrator. My first reaction was to hate and to be angry and to retaliate. And that's the opposite of what God calls us to do. Because there will come a day where I'll be a perpetrator. There already have been days where I've been a perpetrator. Maybe not an abuser, but I've hurt people. And I'll hurt people again. And in that moment, I need his grace just as much as that person who I hurt needs his grace. And so this song that I'm going to sing is called Heart Pounds. And I wrote this song actually after the first time that, not the first time, but one of the major times that I had faced sexual abuse. I went home. It was after a pastor of mine had abused me that night. And I went home and wrote this song because I needed to understand what love was again. And so God gave me a love song that was written for him that says, you know what? Your love is what wakes me up in the morning. Your love is what lays me down at night. Your love is all I need. Just your love. So you can play that. Looking at the stars, they shine so bright. I'm in heaven, lost in love tonight. And as I wait, the sun melts the sky. Morning glories touch, you hold me tight. Where would I be without your love? Where would I go without your light? How could I rise up in the morning, Jesus, if I didn't lay with you at night? 'Cause your love wakes me every morning. Your peace lays me down at night. And it's amazing how you came without warning. You changed my life, and your strength gets me through the bad times. Your joy keeps my laughter low, and it's amazing how you make me feel inside. Oh, how my heart pounds. Oh, how my heart pounds. Looking at the sea, it flows so constantly. I'm lost in waves of love tonight. And as I walk, Jesus guide me. I long to slow you for the rest of my life. Where would I be without your love? Where would I go without your love? How could I ride those waves of glory, Jesus, if I did not ride with you tonight? 'Cause your love wakes me every morning. Your peace lays me down at night. And it's amazing how you came without warning. Jesus, your love has changed my life. And your strength got me through the bad times. Your joy kept my life alive. And it's amazing how you make me feel inside. Oh, how my heart goes. Oh, how my heart. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh. Because your love gets me through, your love gets me through, Jesus. Yeah, 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 yeah. Your love gets me through. It ain't nobody but you. Your love gets me through. It